Welcome everyone to our LA SIGGRAPH May 13 panel. I'm Joan Collins, the chair of LA SIGGRAPH, which stands for Los Angeles Association for Computing Machinery, Special Interest Group on Computer Graphics. We're a professional chapter, not a student one. Anyway, our topic tonight is the future of the metaverse. Is there a metaverse in 2025? Our presenter, Sean Mann, not TBD. Our producer is also our LA SIGGRAPH Vice Chair, LA SIGGRAPH's Vice Chair, Larry Rosenthal, who will walk you through the first and second parts of tonight's program. Thank you to our tech crew tonight, Fran and Leonard. We hope all of our members will join us this next month coming up at AWE. We're going to have what we're going to call the Ethical Professionals Mixer. It'll be across the street from the Long Beach Convention Center. Registration will be up soon. The XR Guild, Big Rock Creative, and LAACMSIGGRAPH are co-hosting. It should be good for all. Fun, fun, fun. On June 17th, which is the third Tuesday of June, we also have our annual Joint Executive Council Planning Meeting, where I, Joan Collins, will be with all of you from this year and next year's Executive Councils. And we plan all 10 of our meetings. And we are asking you now, and we will continue to ask you, for your ideas on speakers and topics or anything you want to see happen in our world, and we will help you make it happen, or we'll make it happen. But we don't want it just to be us planning these meetings. We want your input. I think Fran can put something in the chat as to where to send your ideas or anything like that. August 10th and 14th is the SIGGRAPH conference in Vancouver, Canada. I hope you're all going to be up there. We have a lot of us going up there to be there, and also we're meeting a lot of our other fellow professional chapters up there. September 9, we have the Aerospace Pioneers panel. The SIGGRAPH Pioneers leader, Ed Kramer, with Dave Kessick of Boeing and about 8 other panelists who are all CGI pioneers, will have their presentations on how this all started, where it is now, in the aerospace industry, and also will go live with us for a live Q&A. That's September. We do have elections going on now. If any of you want to join us, not just in membership, but to have more fun on our committees, get a hold of somebody who might be posting that into our good chat also. Anyway, enjoy tonight's show. Larry Rosenthal will be on to explain this all to you. I think it should be quite interesting. Larry, take it away.
Thanks, Joan. When you see the videos come up. I can't tell if I'm live yet.
You are so live.
Okay, I don't see it presented that way on screen.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for coming to tonight's meeting. This is going to be an interesting one. From the first few seconds, we can tell it's going to be kind of a bleeding of the edge here. This is about our 4th meeting in the last few years on the future of the metaverse, and we're certainly going to push its limits right now. Tonight's meeting. As mentioned, my guest is Sean Mann from RP1, founder, and I'm going to call him up right now. So, hi, Sean.
Hey, Larry, how's it going?
Good. So I'm hoping right now that everybody sees is our 2 heads on screen. I can't see that on my side, but I'm going to assume that's what we're seeing. So let me give you the everybody who's attending the agenda for tonight, because we're going to try something new. We're going to be a short time with Zoom, then hopefully we're all going to go into the 3D RP1 platform and visit the VR campus that a lot of you may know from meetings like we've done like this over the years. So what Sean and his team and myself have put together in the past week or so is basically a work in progress of getting that VR campus onto their grid or their platform world. We'll talk about all those things in a moment. So for those of you who are attending right now, I would make sure that your webinar chat window is open because probably for the first 15 minutes, Sean and I will talk a little bit within Zoom. We'll give you a primer of what will go on. He'll tell you a bit about himself, the company, and the projects that they're working on, and just some other good stuff about the metaverse itself and what they're doing with the first browser for the metaverse that works like a web browser. Then, hopefully 15, 20 minutes in, we're going to be posting a URL inside the webinar chat that will only be accessible to you who are part of this meeting. And we will then be able to click on that URL, treat it like a URL. It will launch then a browser, and that browser will then you'll sign in with your name as a guest, and you'll come into the VR campus world, uh, which will be in 3D with an avatar. Uh, at that point, uh, you'll all congregate anywhere that you want in that world, and we'll basically call you over to a large movie screen. Sean and I will talk some more, tell you a bit about the world that we're in. Then there'll probably be about a 30-minute video presentation. We'll all be in 3D together watching a film about the metaverse and about what RP1's doing. Uh, and then we'll do Q&A as avatars inside the 3D world. And then Sean's promised to take everybody who's there on a tour of literally a virtual universe. So, and that can go on as long as he wants to take you around. So, and others from RP1 will hopefully join us as avatars for Q&A. If there's some technical questions, I think we have some other people joining us. Uh, I see David Nassau is in the chat here. If you have any questions toward him and toward Fran while we're in Zoom right now for 15 minutes, you might as well try that in the chat. Maybe they'll reply within chat. But without any further ado, Sean, how are you?
I'm doing great, Larry. I can't thank you and your team. Obviously, Fran and Joan and Leonard, thank you for putting this all together. And obviously for you moderating, Larry, this is definitely exciting. I mean, you guys are pioneers in this space. You've been thinking about this long and hard for a very long time. So I'm excited to share with
This
your team.
is this is part of a 30-year journey. I mean, and LAACMSIGGRAPH is part of a 45-year-old journey, I think, at this point. I mean, so the audience that you're talking to, some of the people out there right now, I mean, they go back as long as it is. And and again, this is now, like I say, the 50th year of doing these metaverse uh meetings.
Yeah.
Those of you who remember, Sean was with us last year with Liam in a Zoom panel discussing, and we were discussing all these issues. And it's been another year. We don't have to go into infinite reality and where they are, but right now I invited Sean back because a year has taken place. They've moved forward, and here's a good chance to see what they're doing and actually experience it through our meeting. Uh, what else I want to say quickly about it, but so uh, so quickly, tell us a little bit about RP1 from the beginning, your experience, and how where you are now.
Well, you know, it's funny. You know, we started this company off with some technology that was super important to create. One that everyone thinks is decades away. And as you know, in the gaming space, it's really hard to scale in the number of users to be even, let alone a multitude of locations, but just a single location to go into. It's very limited based on technology. And everyone's like, to have this big idea of a metaverse where billions of people are roaming around, hundreds of millions of locations, that's probably decades away because technically we're doing like 20, 30, 40 people in a space with full fidelity. And so obviously the idea of having hundreds of millions or billions of people is somewhat far-fetched a little bit from a discussion standpoint. And we solved that through ultra efficient software. But I'll tell you, as we were building demos to showcase this technology for the world, we really realized that we were building the construct of the first 3D browser. And I think the important thing is like, why do we need another browser, right? And I think the idea is, if you stop thinking about it as virtual worlds, but think about the future of the internet is going to be all these spatial real-time services built by companies all over the world. You can really start taking your view that it's not just a virtual world with some museum pieces that we all congregate and have a chat, but what if the entire world is going to have to change their web infrastructure to be spatially aware for all the new devices that are coming out? And I think that really tries to change the conversation as far as what the idea of the metaverse is and kind of where we're heading and the impact it's going to have on our daily lives.
Right. Well, what you're saying is that, and a lot of the past has been attempting to put 3D into a 2D
Yeah.
world, which
Yeah.
was the graphical user interface, then translated into the Netscape or the Windows browser, what then became Chrome and
Yep.
Mozilla, which were all 2D metaphors, not spatial computing. They were pages, not places. But
Yep.
now, of course, you know, with spatial computing and the devices and things that are changing, is a good time to look at a spatial browser per se,
Yep.
and all the pieces that it takes to put that together, and also and the changes it'll take in terms of interface and in terms of people's relating to data. Of course, as the devices have changed, people went from big clunky PCs and workstations to laptops to phones, and now, of course, we're talking about eyeglasses and other devices that are all within the product plan of the chip makers, right? Who drive speed and cheap product.
Yeah, I think you guys have been thinking about this for 30 years, but I think hardware is finally catching up as far as what needs to happen for it to be a viable, commercially graded, device to put on your face. And the question is, why would we want to put something on our face? And I think a lot of people, when they think about the metaverse, they think of like these big, kind of VR headsets, and some people get sick. Sometimes, it's pretty heavy. And they're like, well, that's the metaverse. Yeah, I may come there every once in a while, but it's not going to really impact my daily life. And when I think you start seeing what's happening right now with the largest tech companies on the planet, there was an article recently that Tim Cook was quoted saying that the iPhone will be obsolete in about 10 years.
Right.
What he meant there is that you have this tiny screen that we stare at as we walk around the real world. So we'll put this up to find directions and find things or to talk to people. But if you think about it, we have this huge campus that's in our view everywhere we go. And the
Right.
question is how do we use this huge campus to make an experience far better than staring at a 6 inch by 3 inch screen? And so if I want to now have Larry join me in the real world, even though he's stuck at home, how do you bridge in real life experiences with augmented reality along with virtual reality and really bring these pieces together and allow the world to connect in ways that we believe that we're technically challenging, right? Very
Right.
hard.
Well, one of the key issues is that we're, again, and it's been a struggle for 30 years, but people are beginning to understand, especially with Apple calling it spatial computing and making their first initial products in the last year or two, that it's not just games. Games are a vertical. Games are about scoring and high score and pure, pure design for that entertainment rush.
Yep.
Whereas the PC or the phone uh, were devices which were much broader in their use in terms of our lives. Whereas again, like the Quest 3 that you held up has
Yep.
been primarily a game device, or
Yeah.
for most people, and that was also a decision that Meta made, which may not have been, which again was a first decision, but maybe not the decision that you're looking at and that others have looked at for many years.
Yeah, I think gaming is going to be a smaller percentage of the bigger picture. It's kind of like what is the web infrastructure done for us on a daily
Right,
basis? Like every company on the planet runs all their software off the web, right?
right,
And everyone, you run hospitals and hotels and airports. When the Wi-Fi shut down at the airport had to shut down because they couldn't connect to their web content.
absolutely,
And I think we're on really the cusp of the next biggest software evolution that you've seen known to man. And
right,
everyone's going to be moving from these 2D web pages or web content and move to spatial content. But the change that's happened, and you hit it right in the head, is these devices, if you're going to display 2D information, and try to interact with 2D information. Your XR devices are not going to compete with these and laptops. Laptops and cell phones will kill XR devices when you're doing 2D information.
Well, that was the entire. I mean, 30 years ago, I wrote a whole article about 2D versus 3D interface
Yep.
because there's a reason we created paper, and there was a reason we created screens.
Yes.
So that instead of having to go to the show, the Roman stage, and is that you can watch it within the comfort of a proscenium or a theater. So we've basically we spent thousands of years flattening our world into a
Yep.
screen or into a page.
Yep.
And now, of course, the technology is allowing us to take it back to the real world and
Yep.
integrate it. And as I said, and you're right, I mean, gaming, it's just like the real world. I mean, games, even though games are probably the more popular entertainment of the moment right this second, whereas maybe screens and TV and movie was 20, 30 years earlier, which was
Yep.
it's an interactive versus non-interactive thing. The bottom line is that it's a continuum of only being part of what you do. You only watch movies and TV for certain things in your life, and then you still
Yep.
have to go to work, drive your car, go grocery shopping, eat dinner, go to the
Yep.
bathroom, do all the things that are physical are real because that's
Yep.
still part of your 24/7 existence as a spatial being.
Well, yeah, and you have to have a convergence of a lot of things that happen. One is that you have to have the devices start being commercially viable, number one, so that people start using them because companies are not going to build until consumers or businesses start having readily available AR glasses. The second component that you have is that I don't think any company known to man is going to build their equivalent of web content or infrastructure, let's call it spatial infrastructure inside a Roblox or a Meta Horizons or whatnot. They're
Right.
going
Well,
to want
all
to,
of them go back to they call it, the gilded cage or the garden, the closed garden approach, which AOL and CompuServe started people getting online with, and
yep,
then of course when the World Wide Web hit, it grew into a bursting also of that was really the burst for the economy and for creation because again like the Cambrian explosion is the metaphor people use because all these browsers were now linked and there was also you weren't held back by having to make a deal with Apple or with AOL,
correct.
which I
Yep.
actually did, or others to basically get your content built. I mean, a sci-fi 3D world that I wanted to build started on as being open on the web, and then I got to deal with AOL as they wanted to basically go from closed to the web. 96, 97. So we're at that point now where what you've been doing is really wanting to be back at that birthplace in a sense
Yep.
for what was the World Wide Web was in 96, 95, but now with spatial as being the center of the medium.
Well, 100%. And I think, in this SIGGRAPH crowd, we can all remember, and I think the importance of the web, it created a massive amount of jobs and opportunity for anyone to participate. A company didn't
That's
say
right.
you can't be the WordPress, or you can't build a marketplace, or you can't build tools that other companies are going to use. That we're going to restrict that to our marketplace and our tools. And that's what made the World Wide Web so powerful.
Yep.
And while we're repeating history, which I think is okay because they're showing examples of what's possible. You have to have early pioneers teaching the world on how to use these 3D content, how to connect with each other. But that doesn't mean they have it right. That doesn't mean they have it perfect. And I think what we're doing is just saying that there needs to be this historical moment where we bring the same ecosystem that gives us the free, World Wide Web or open World Wide Web and create a browser that concentrates on solving for 3D world content and services to seamlessly be found by any servers or people that build anywhere in the world without you being constructed by one particular company. And while we're the first, we believe there'll be many browsers that will hopefully follow, and we work on the standards to no different than you have Chrome and Safari and Edge. We just happen to be the first solving for these ideas. And a lot of people, the first question is typically, well, why not the current browser? And the current browser is designed for HTML data. It's designed for 2D information. And it's great when you have websites, hundreds of millions of websites. But if I want to seamlessly go to a university to take a class and easily take that same avatar and stream, walk, teleport, or whatever, all in one contiguous world, that the idea of the metaverse, the true definition of the idea of metaverse, where we can seamlessly move and navigate both real world activities and virtual activities, you have to rethink how do you connect these technologies. And
Well, there was a phase 25, 30 years ago, again, where the 3D capabilities through standards like VRML and X3D and others,
Mhm.
and non-standards like Shockwave 3D and others, were all plug-in technologies to work within the browsers. But again, they all had to basically play by the rules of the browser
Yeah,
companies and the browser consortiums. And of course, their rules were their rules for what they saw first, which was advertising and graphics and banners, which then
yeah,
became video. And 3D was always odd man out, last man to play.
yeah.
That wasn't just a technology, it was also, again, there was business to be made with what they already were doing,
Yeah.
you know.
No,
Uh
yeah, you're spot on. And but I want to take it a step further. I think at some point a Costco, we'll use Costco as example. Costco is going to start building their own third-party spatial services. And those services will allow consumers to interact. So if I walk into a Costco, as soon as I walk near each of those locations, and Costco will have ownership of those locations
mhm.
in the real world, they will be able to start connecting me to a service, and the browser makes it seamless that as I walk by proximity, I don't have to download and install a Costco app. I seamlessly am already connected to it, and I can choose to interact with it or not.
Well,
But
this is
Costco,
key to where we're trying to break away from, because what occurred, of course, is that uh, up until about 2006, that was the web, even with rich media being 3D or 2D with Flash. But then all of a sudden, Apple comes up with the iPad and the iPhone and the App Store,
yep,
which then locked us in to basically having to download apps to interface every
yep.
place you want it to be, as opposed to websites that were all linked together. So the link and the ability for even people to gather together all kind of went away, which used to exist. And it just became a model, became a successful model because, again, it was hardware and software combined. And of course, that's where Meta and others and Snap and others have been today in what they're doing. So, but
but
again,
but
you've got a
but if you
different
have to go
thought.
ahead, I'm sorry. No, go. I'm sorry. There's a little
Mhm.
delay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I said what you're presenting is a different thought. Back to the audience here. It's a thought which is much more based on, again, where things were with the World Wide Web, and the again the the scale that could happen for
Yep.
business and for society that has been closed down systematically since the phones came in the app stores. I mean, again, local news. I mean, one of the kings of the 3D engine technology, which of course was servicing games, took Apple to court, and they've now the app store has been broken,
Yep.
so that you don't have to pay to play 30% minimum.
Yeah, but I think the App Store, I think to a point, there's a lot of arguments on both sides of the value it brings and making it seamless to interact with different content. But when you move to a spatial world, when you're walking around the real world, if everything was broken into little boxes that you had to download and install, it's hard for things to kind of coexist. And I believe the experience for the end user would not be as seamless as it is opening up Chrome and going to any website. And so I want you to imagine if you just connect to the browser. It's going to know where I'm at in the real world and be able to connect me to all these different services built by any company or individual that owns those pieces of
Right.
land.
So
But
you're
but but you need
suggesting is if somebody was out shopping on a weekday or a weekend and went to a mall, they wouldn't be downloading an app for each Costco and each Walmart and each store, as well as when they're out in the parking lot and trying to get a hot dog from a hot dog vendor, okay, who wants to have a 3D, something going on there. It would all be more of a seamless
exactly.
operation through their device.
And you could have your own AI assistant. I can have a little AI pet. It can walk around with me as I'm traversing the real world.
Right.
You can pop in. Larry literally can, you can call me and you're going to pop in your avatar. I'm going to say, hey, come join me. And you're going to put your VR headset in your room and you'll instantly be wherever I'm standing. And now the virtual reality aspect is important because now you're downloading what I'm seeing and we're connecting to the same services. So you can now join me at Costco, and that same greeter at Costco is showing up in your VR headset, no different than it's showing up in my AR headset. So it
Also,
creates,
the possibility is that everyone else who's in Costco will also be virtualized in that virtual space with you. In other words, right now, computers have always been a very, and the web was always a one-on-one, asynchronous kind of reality, where when you were on a web page, you would go to Google's homepage to do a search. There could be 400 million people on that homepage doing searches, but you had
yep,
no idea they were there,
yep.
or you had no ability to communicate with them or to ask advice for many of them, really. Uh, but again, spatially, there's now what you're talking about are models to do that.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and I think it just takes it to another level. I think when COVID happened and we all missed being around each other, you still had websites, you still had ways we can go in chat rooms or you can play a game together, but there wasn't this way to really connect as close to reality as possible. And I think the future of the
Perfect.
metaverse is
Mhm.
I can sit in my living room and you can come sit right next to me, even though you're remote, and I can drop a chessboard built by anyone in the world and literally put it down and you and I can start playing chess and we're running a full chess service ran on someone else's third party server and it's all seamless. And
Well,
when you think of a if you think of a browser, it sets the standards on how all these pieces interact. So think of how DNS is a standard and HTML and CSS is a standard to allow these websites to be found and shared and interactable. You need to take it a step further where you can have literally millions upon millions of services that you can pull. And so now if I create my own space, not only will I be able to put my like the LA SIGGRAPH, like this location, you could put
well,
on your
this
own
is the
servers. You could put on your own servers. You could decide what services you want to greet people. Let's say you want an NPC. Instead of you thinking the wall garden system is going to give you an NPC or you need to create one, there'll be 100, different NPC companies that already have attached their services to be found by the
well,
browser, and you can pick the one that you want to interact with or use
that's
for.
what tonight is. I mean, that's what the story of tonight is of what we're doing. I mean, as people know that this is the fifth year we've been doing this. It was during COVID that the LAACMSIGGRAPH and I linked up because again, they began to do Zoom calls. They had been on, real life meetings in person had been the 45-year, the 40-year way things were done.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do that. So Zoom calls began to come in. I received a call from Ed Lance about, do you want to maybe get involved? Because he knew I was somebody who knew this world of spatial meeting places. I mean, as you can see, the environment behind me, these models go back now 20 years. They've
Yep.
moved from walled garden to world garden. Okay. From before Second Life into Second Life, through multiple platforms. Uh, and then again, there was an attempt to from Mozilla, okay, who bought into a technology that they called hubs, which was also a similar browser based, but also, you know, again, controlled by the Mozilla Corporation in terms of what would go. But the bottom line is we did put together the VR campus,
Yep.
and we did use it. Usually, the best way we found to do it was kind of the meet and greet after a Zoom call. So,
Yep.
and this is what you did with us a year ago. And we would then go into the space, but the space was a standalone space, which is one issue, is that it wasn't part of a larger universe. It was
Exactly.
basically a campus that floated on an infinite ocean, but it was all within its own little universe. And again, people can look behind me and get an idea, but if they hang on within now the next 10 minutes, we'll be within it,
So,
three
so
dimensions.
imagine the past if everyone had their own intranets to go into websites and you had a VPN into every single website. The
That's right.
browser made it seamless where once I connect to a browser, I can now go to any website imaginable. So it removed the complete friction. And so we actually a part of the browser launch. So we're going to be demoing the browser. It's going to be live in about a week or so, on a quote unquote or so. And one of the first things you'll be able to do is you'll be able to go to rp1.com, click enter, and go to an unlimited space that includes a digital twin of our solar system and one-to-one scale of Earth. And it's capable of 100,000 concurrent users, and we can scale that to a billion users. So you're connected to everybody. There's no sharding. And I know your team's more technical and they'll understand the the sharded aspect of systems. But the neat thing is we're also going to have a vertical that enables anyone to build their own meeting spaces with zero friction. So just like a Zoom call, you'll be able to create a link, you'll be able to click it and instantly be enrolled from any device. And so now you can make it seamless to start getting into this XR content. But I think the most important thing that you brought up is that you guys were in alt space and you're in these different sandboxes. And if those sandboxes go out of business, your content dies with those platforms. But if you're built on your own servers and the job of a browser, and hopefully there'll be many browsers following kind of our lead as far as what is necessary for the idea of the metaverse, then it doesn't matter if a browser goes defunct. Any browser will be able to find that content no different than any browser can find any website
Right.
today. And I think
But
that's a really important
what's
evolution.
existed quite solidly for 30 years is standards of the model formats and some of the interactive formats. That's what
Yeah.
VRML, then XML, and others became in the GLTF file. I mean,
Yep.
again, my pants, these buildings that we'll go into, again, uh, they're 20-year-old models. All I do is put by using tools like Blender and 3D Max and Maya, you put them into a standard format and then you basically just edit them. So the process that what people will see is that basically for the past week or so, I've been taking the models that existed, the core model that existed that we were in a year ago
Yep.
inside of the hub space. Uh, Basically, that model always existed as actually I re-exported it out as a GLTF file, brought that back into Blender, and then in Blender made some edits, which I gave you guys the Blender file, and of course eventually it'll be myself being able to do it, as you're saying. And that Blender file then you placed into a coordinates within your virtual grid, and that's what we're going to go into right now and continue the meeting. It's about 7:35 now. So,
Perfect.
so for the people who are in the chat now, and the people who are watching, what we're going to ask to do is there's going to be a URL link given in the chat area. That link will be able to transport you into the 3D world, and we're all going to meet in that world. Then you'll see a large movie screen theater in space and attempt to gather up near there. And then Sean and I will talk a bit more. He'll introduce a video he has, which explains a lot of these concepts. We'll play that video. He'll bring up some other people from his group, and maybe we'll do a Q&A. And then he'll take you on a tour, because as we say, the campus that we're going to right now isn't by itself. It's like a web page floating in the entire World Wide Web, so that he can then take you on a tour of the galaxy, in a sense, virtually. So
Yeah,
I see the beginning of the join the meeting link is
the
up.
link is there, and if you can come in VR, it's gonna be mind blowing. So if you go in VR, I'm gonna give it really simple. You just go to rp1.com, and right under the enter RP1, you'll see create or join a meeting. And if you just take that 10-digit code and put it in there, you'll instantly go in world.
Okay.
And if you're doing the desktop, you can actually just take that full link, the HTTPS rp1.com spaces, just like a Zoom link, click that, and it will open up a web page, and you'll instantly go in world as well. So either
Right.
one.
So people can come in through a web browser on their PCs or laptops. They can come in through an HMD like a Quest 3 or a Rift S or others, which is I may transfer into at one point. And also it'll work on I know higher end phones like an iPhone 16 and others. They could probably, if they may be watching this video right now on an iPhone, it's a little harder to navigate on a small window, but it should come up. It should operate. Now, before we go into the world, and I see the links are up, because I will be leaving Zoom, because otherwise, with the multiple microphones, I'll have feedback, and that will be a problem. Uh, I know that Fran will stay within this world. If there's people with some questions for the chat. And I think David Nassau is in the world as well, who's with your company. And maybe
Yeah, David runs our marketing, and he can hang out here in case there's any questions or problems of getting in world. Most of the time, a refresh of the browser does great, depending on you're coming in or your Wi-Fi or whatnot.
Right.
But if for some reason you can't join us in world, you're welcome to go to rp1.com/learn. And we do have the video and a lot of our documents. And if you join our Discord, we are really good about answering any questions. So if you ever want to reach to us outside of this, you're welcome to reach out directly. I'm happy.
And Fran and or whoever wants to do it, when you drop into the chat, can you just drop in the link that we're supposed to click to go to? Because we can't copy it, just copies the whole message. So whatever you can do to make our lives a bit more easy, just the link in one message, not for your information, go to this link message, just the URL. Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, voice from beyond. Great. I see it now. I see now the link posted that way. That's great.
Perfect. I'll meet you guys. I'll meet you guys in the world. It's gonna be awesome.
You go into the world. I'll join you, and
Perfect.
everyone else. Let's see if we can move. We got 35 participants here. Let's see how many of them we can get into the virtual world and continue this meeting in the metaverse.
Yeah, I can hang with Fran.
Okay. All right. So
and Fran and I will just keep pointing them to that one link.
okay, sounds good.
And then when you get there, type your name in and then blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
And for those who also will notice, Leonard will be in the world. He's with LAACMSIGGRAPH. He'll be recording the world from his avatar. And hopefully by the end of that, we'll be able to splice the beginning of this Zoom call and the 3D space meeting together into one video that will then eventually go up onto the website for LAACMSIGGRAPH. So we're gonna try to jump into the future here.
We're hybrid, man. We're hybrid.
We're
I love it.
hybriding.
All right, I'll see you guys in there.
Yep.
All right. Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck, astronauts.
Stay digital. Well, Fran, it's just you and me.
All right. Sean told me not even go to the Zoom. He's like, don't even bother going to the Zoom. We're going to be in world any moment.
Yeah, because it's true. It's true.
45 minutes, true.
Well, Sean.
I feel like we're watching them.
Welcome on in, everybody. On the top left, you have a microphone icon. If you actually click that button, you'll mute and unmute yourself.
If it looks like everyone is muted, we have a brand new feature that just got thrown in here. Apparently, it's not working, so we can't.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
And Larry, I'd mute on Zoom as well.
Okay, Dave, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm now out of Zoom.
But I can still hear you in Zoom.
You still hear me in Zoom? Maybe that would be somebody else's recording, I'm assuming, because I've quit Zoom. I may switch to VR mode, but for now, I'm right now on a PC mode. My microphone's working, which is the one thing I wanted. I'm just going to stand up front here. Okay. So,
it does
Sean?
seem that everybody is muted. So again,
probably not.
Muted. Please go to the top
Sean?
left.
Yes. The
Okay,
microphone showing up next to the name is not a signal of if they're muted or not. It's just
hey, Larry, everybody. If everyone wants to come over to the screen, everyone come on over here, please. We'll come on over this way. Hey, Jenny. Hey, everybody. Hey, Abilene. How's it going?
There's no
Nil,
collision
how's it going?
right this moment. Otherwise, you'd be able to sit up on the seats. But for now, just you can stand.
Hey, doing good, thanks. Loud in here, so I'm going to turn my mic off.
Okay, pleasure to see you, Anil.
You too.
Hey, everyone else, you want to come a little closer? Brian, Sue, Pearl, Nate, come on over here. Al's over there, or it might be AI. That's perfect. Hey, Jerry, how's it going? Welcome to see you. If you're in VR, you can wave, but I know it seems like a lot of you are on desktop. We're eventually going to be able to take your webcam and translate it into your avatar. So that's on the list for some of the things we're going to add. There's Kurt. Hey, Kurt. Kurt's in VR. You the man. I like this. Nicely done, Kurt.
You might want to tell some people how to navigate if they're not familiar with.
Great call, Jenny. So if you are on desktop, you're going to be able to move with the WASD. So W moves forward, obviously S moves backwards, and S and D move right and left. You can use your arrows to sidestep as well. And then wherever your mouse points is where you go. So if you want to point up, you can fly. So you point up and press forward W, you'll be able to move around. And then to open up the menu, you can hit an M. If you're on desktop, if you're on VR, Kurt already figured it out. All you have to do is point straight up and you can press forward. Wherever you point and press forward, if I point to the left, if I point to the right, I can and just press forward with my thumbstick, you'll be able to navigate. I want you guys to see something really cool. Everyone look at my hands. I'm going to be moving my fingers, but it's not an animation. Look, I'm going to slowly move my fingers. It is completely tied to my real-time movement. And so you can see we have full 6DoF. I can move my arms. And so we can track all that information in real time. The other thing also is a big hindrance in the idea of a fully connected metaverse is the audio aspect. And so when you're doing peer-to-peer audio, there's an N squared problem. You basically run out of the way to send, because my audio track has to go to every single person peer-to-peer. We're using our state-based technology, which I described earlier, as a way to handle the scale where no other company is capable of doing this. And so we can handle hundreds of thousands of audio tracks. And what we do is we actually server-side mix it. And so your audio goes to server and it gets mixed in real time, and we send you multiple streams a second based on the people that are around you. So it doesn't matter if they're coming in from Japan or New York or LA. I saw some people from Hawaii, but we're instantly rerouting everyone's data as you come into the browser and sharing it with you based on location, based on your proximity. There are three really. Oh, Dean, you have a question? Actually, Dean, why don't you come up real quickly? Why don't you come up real quickly? So I want to introduce you to Dean. So Dean is our co-founder, and he is actually the man behind this amazing server-side technology that allows us to scale to handle what a browser needs to do to connect the world's population. So I want to introduce you as the head architect and co-founder of the company. So everyone say hi to Dean, and we can say hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
I was just making a quick correction to Sean. Sean said that you send one stream up to the server and you get all these streams back. You only get one stream back. There we go. One stream back from the server, no matter how many people are around. So the audio is fixed in size.
Yeah. So Dean, as we've been in here, we've noticed the sky keeps changing color. What's going on with that?
So great question. So all the physics of the universe are programmed in here. We're actually in a solar system. If you were to go straight up, you would find yourself out of Earth's orbit pretty quickly. We're standing on Earth, and we always stand perpendicular to the ground. It is a round sphere. So if you were to walk around Earth, your feet would actually, you would be feet to feet when you're on the other side of the Earth. And we're standing on Earth, and Earth is spinning around like Earth would normally spin around. And the sun is where the sun normally is. So we're actually getting full sunrise, sunset based on the rotation of the Earth, but because it's a demo and we didn't necessarily want someone to come in here and get stuck on the dark side of Earth for too long, we actually just sped up the night-day cycle. I think it's about 3 minutes for the Earth to spin around. And if you were to go in space, you could actually see the Earth turning and the shadow being cast behind it. It's really cool. It's very, very
Where are the coordinates for this plot of land right here, right now? In other words,
we're standing just off of Africa, right close to, very, very close to 00 latitude, longitude. All of our little places that we have populated on Earth are right near the 0, 0 mark. So I don't know exactly where it is, but it's probably within a degree of 0, 0.
Well,
Just wondering.
Well, I want to add, which is important, is why do we need a map this big? And so I want you to think about. There's a company called ICANN, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and I love being in a crowd with SIGGRAPH because you guys have been around for a long time and understand a lot of this. But ICANN's job is to make sure we have enough domain space for an unlimited amount of websites. And so you think about when you move to the spatial internet and the idea of the metaverse, you need unlimited volumetric space to be able to have not only a digital twin of our planet one-to-one scale, but you need a universe worth of information so that anyone can build anything they can imagine and not be limited by the size of that space. And so RP1, with technology that Dean has created, we've created a way where we can have an unlimited volumetric space that includes a digital twin of our solar system and Earth one-to-one scale. And the reason why we need an Earth one-to-one scale is as we roam around the real world in AR, it needs to know exactly where you're at in that system and be able to connect you to the services built by everyone anywhere. And so when you walk near a Costco or a post office or a hotel or a hospital or anywhere you go and you're going to connect to the different services that they create that allow you to interact with that space, it needs to know exactly where you're at on that map and serve up those real-time services that are owned and ran on their own servers, just like you serve up web content on your web servers. And this gives ownership and digital rights to every individual the same way you have the digital rights to your website, but the browser makes it seamless and removes the friction where they can instantly connect to this content without having to go through a whole app procedure. And I always joke, but it's less of a joke. If I were to say, hey guys, I have something to show you in Roblox, and 90% of you have never been to Roblox, you would have to download and install Roblox. You'd have to create an account. You'd have to create an avatar. You'd have to learn the UX, and then you'd have to remember what you were there in the first place, which was to find my one location. And imagine having to do that with 100, 200, 1,000 different platforms. That is really what a federated metaverse is. And they're all trying to say, well, we'll try to use the same files and we'll try to make it easy for you. But that's like connecting AOL and CompuServe. And so we're building the construct of a single, instead of a World Wide Web, it's more of the equivalent of the metaverse. And that's what this movie is going to go over. Dean did some creative. There's some fun in there, but it's 30 minutes. And I really would love for you guys to watch this because I think it will open up a discussion. I really don't want this to be like we're just telling you stuff. We want this to really be an interactive discussion because we have the technology to do it, right? You all can kind of raise your hand if you're in VR. If you're on desktop, you can say, I have a question. I know who's calling out because look around right now. There really is no limitation. I want you to imagine eventually there's hundreds of millions of people, but they're at different locations. And let's say, Kurt, you can call someone that is at Stanford University right now and say, hey, can I join you in that class? And you can walk, fly, or teleport there, and you'll instantly see the people in that classroom. There's no more going from box to box or portal to portal. We're creating an open spatial internet where everyone can start building, and we all coexist just like websites coexist with the current browsers.
The other great thing is that just imagine a billionaire decided that he wanted to build the LAACMSIGGRAPH an actual campus and gave us a plot of land on the beach, somewhere
on the beach. I like that.
in Santa Monica, right? So all of a sudden, this environment that we're in becomes literally real, and
Yes,
in a virtual second, clone of it, that where its actual physicality is also related to the real space.
Larry, I love what you just said. And I use the example, and I don't know why I go to museums just because it's so easily, but think about the Louvre Museum. So the Louvre Museum will have rights inside of Paris to the coordinate system that their exact real world land exists. And they will now be able to create a digital twin, run it off their own servers. They're going to create all the services, the real time services that you interact with, whether that's an AI greeting you and telling you where to go or different things you interact, or I can buy tickets. But let's say I can't be there in the real world. Larry, you'd be able to put your headset on and be able to now go to that same coordinate system inside the browser, and you will show up at the same place that I'm standing in the real world. And with AR glasses and VR headsets, we'll be able to not only see each other, but we'll be able to interact with the same services. And by the way, if you hang around for the tour,
I'm going to show you 4 or 5 different services that are running off of third-party companies that are working today in the browser to show you that's possible. It is really, really neat. So please stay after this movie, and we'll take you on a little tour, and we'll let you go anywhere you want once we're done. And this is really just for LA SIGGRAPH before we open it to the public. So Larry put this and his team put this together so you guys get a sneak peek of everything that's going on.
And just, for the members of LA SIGGRAPH and for people maybe want to join and get more involved, as we said, over the next few years, that the idea was, now that this is set up on the grid, is that this is a hub, a place to grow. The original model had more images and more graphics from different past events in it. That'll all can be added later as gallery work. And of course, and I'll also offer these models up to any member who basically wants to start building off adjoining galleries off
That's
of this
awesome.
hub space. So that, as
Yep.
we said, that's why I asked where it was right now in Africa, but eventually we should move this to someplace, in LA.
Well,
on the
there'll be
grid.
there'll be 2 ways it's going to work. So right now we're just demoing this technology, but the real digital twin of Earth is going to be reserved for people that own their land. So if LA SIGGRAPH actually is leasing a property in the real world, we would give you the rights to that exact coordinate space. But if you're not building something that's not a digital twin, there's space outside of our solar system that you'll be able to build endless amount of stuff. So this would no longer exist here. It'd be in an open space outside of planet Earth. But the cool thing is you'll have your own URL. So people, you can hand out a URL. People can go directly to LA SIGGRAPH space without having to go through a centralized system. But the difference with what we're conveying to the world is when I'm done at LA SIGGRAPH, I can seamlessly go to someone else's location, store, campus, or anything imaginable without being limited to having to go in and out of different systems to make that possible, just like you go in and out of different websites. But let's start. You want to start the movie later? Should we
Well,
do that?
let me add one more quick note is
Oh,
when you build a space like this, you will be doing it on your own, and you can host it on your own servers, and you can create it on your own and plug it in. So you're not building it inside of RP1. You're building it with
correct.
open standards, just like an HTML document. You don't put your HTML document inside of Facebook or inside of another website. If you create an HTML document, you host it on a web server, a web browser comes and picks it up and renders it. Any
It's
web browser
yours.
can pick it
Yeah.
up, it's yours.
Well,
Same thing here. When you're building in this world, you're really building to an open standard, to what we call a spatial fabric, and you'll use standard objects in GLB, GLTIF format, and you'll put them together. And you can add real-time services that people can interact with, and all this stuff runs on your own servers or any host of your choosing, and the browser will just come along and pick it up and assemble it all together. So we're not talking about building inside of Roblox or inside of anyone else. So that's a really, really big differentiating factor of what we're
100%.
really talking about. And this is really about how you're going to interact in real life. Wherever you go when you're wearing AR glasses in the very near future, that's where you are. And the services that your glasses pick up will be based on your proximity and your location. And that will be merged. AR and VR will be merged together and will give you the final result that you get here. And we do really have it. And later on, you'll have an opportunity to go out in space. We have a whole solar system set up. You can go to Jupiter's moons and see the moon would be spinning and you would see the Jupiter set instead of the sunset. All this stuff is programmed. It's in here. And we haven't put in any other solar systems, but we will, and we'll put in other galaxies too. This is a really, 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 really big space. And people are probably going, well, how do you get beyond 10 kilometer? Well, we got a patent for doing so. So we got patent pending for doing so, excuse me. So we have an infinite amount of space to work with, and it's really about setting open standards and not about getting people to plug in here. So like other places that you might have known about that have gone out of business and all your content goes with it, you don't have that problem with these open standards, because if something were to happen to us, that's okay. Someone else with another browser could come along and pick it up and get
well,
it. So
that's
go
what I
for
was
it.
saying. This world right here, this model here, resides basically in Blender as a place where I edit and change it, and where again that becomes the tool for modeling and for putting the model together,
Yep.
and then it just gets dropped here.
And the one last thing I want to add is, I'm sure you guys are asking, so we are currently demoing our technology as a browser in a browser. right? So we're using the MetaQuest browser. So we're using WebXR because it was the quickest way to showcase the technology that most people thought was impossible. And it's important to show the vision so we can move forward with an open ecosystem. But the goal of our company, once we can get support, not only from big companies, but philanthropists and anyone that wants to see the future of the spatial internet tomorrow, is that we want to build a native browser, and that one that you can install to your client just like you do Chrome or Safari. And this is going to allow us to up-level the graphics. But more importantly, there's a huge opportunity for all of you to start solving for streamable content. And this has never been an issue because most people build pre-compiled, downloadable, installed content where you can download 6 gigabytes of data. I install that to my machine before we even have any type of multiplayer. But with a metaverse, you can't download the entire internet. You can't download the entire metaverse. So it has to stream on demand. And we need to continue to up level. So there's opportunities to not only convert things from Unity and Unreal to make them streamable and not a pre-compiled app. There's going to be people that need to become the WordPress, that are going to build tools. This is a new opportunity for the entire people that are in the World Wide Web to take their strengths and apply it to the spatial internet and the open metaverse. And this is just the start of a massive beginning. Along with the big companies building the devices, we are now coming together at a time where this is all going to work and really usher in the spatial internet. So I want you guys to be not only excited, but join us. This is not about RP1 building all these components. We are just building certain components that make this possible, but we want to open up the conversation to bring everyone together and not just do this on ourselves. But why don't you take a look at the video? We're going to have a few
quick question.
Yeah, Dean, go for it.
If a developer were to do all this stuff, what percentage does RP1 take of their revenues?
0, because Chrome does not take a percentage of your website. It is your website. Chrome's job is just to reroute. So not only do we not own your data, we don't own your revenue, and your assets are yours. And so this is, again, we are a spatial fabric, and I'm assuming you're all like, well, what is a spatial fabric? Well, this is what you're going to start learning. You're going to see the parallel of the World Wide Web and how we define the idea of the metaverse. And then let's have a great discussion after you watch this video. And so it's about 30 minutes long. So grab some popcorn. I want you guys to enjoy. And right after it's done, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to ask some cool questions, take you on a tour. But mi casa, su casa, and we really want you guys to be a part of this. This is a two-way conversation, and you guys have a lot of value to bring to the table. So we want to make sure you're inclusive. All right, so everyone, I'm going to start it up. I got my own controls over here. This is pretty cool, by the way. Our team put this together just for you guys. But this, and I'm going to turn the volume on, and it's all persistent. You ready? Everyone say on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
3.
It works.
Yeah.
That's me.
You're 60 feet tall.
Video's glitching out. Video keeps glitching for me.
It's not playing at all for me.
Yeah, same. Does it start for 20 seconds and
Make me leader.
that's it?
Try to mute all. Mute all. Make me a leader.
I'm not seeing the video. Do I have to? Am I seeing RP1?
Yeah, I'm having issues as well. It plays for like 10 seconds.
It hasn't played at all for me.
All right, so I'm going to pause. I heard some people can't see it. Are you on a mobile device? I just want to know who can't see it.
Nobody in Zoom.
Anyone?
I'm on a
Okay.
MacBook Pro.
Okay,
Me too.
so if you're on a Fight Pro, there is a little bit of something wrong with Safari sometimes in Apple devices that we're running into that we're trying to solve. Just come a little bit come a little bit closer if you need to, and see if that works. If not, you can go to rp1.com/learn and watch the video. But remember, we're a tiny team with no QA department, so some of this will be refined very shortly. So if you can't see it, I'm sorry. But if you come a little closer, hopefully it should work just fine. If not, it is a device issue, and we're just trying to QA it, and we'll try to solve that as we deal with that. Okay. Start this back up.
Sean, I'm on mobile. I was looking at the screen and I see a guy in the RP1 shirt.
I'm sorry, Anil.
I'm on mobile and it wasn't working before, and now I see Dean on the screen.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you just got to be a little bit closer maybe. But yeah, there's something with mobile, and it's hard for us to test all the different mobile devices. So bear with us. But it should work for most. And then we'll figure out if you can go on our Discord and just let us know what device and kind of what you're seeing. That'd be great. But I think if you move a little closer, hopefully it should work now. It also depends. It also depends if you're on mobile, you're probably using cellular. So if your cellular connection is not great, that's also going to impact the streaming of the movie. Yeah, Dean, you have a question?
And
go ahead.
people can also watch it independently on rp1.com/learn.
Yeah, you can go to rp1.com/learn, and the video is right there. So if you can't see it, you're welcome to watch it at the same time, and then just come back in the world, and then we'll have the Q&A and stuff. Okay. All right, I'll start it back up. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much. That might be the longest video ever in the metaverse because most companies or technologies don't enable this. But again, this is running off of a third-party server, makes it seamless and easy to inject. But I would really love to open up for, and Larry, I think Q&A would be great. You guys just got to see a video, got to hear us talk on Zoom a little bit. Before we go on a tour, I would love to really open it up to questions and have a nice dialogue. If you're in VR, feel free just to raise your hand. If you're not in VR, just kind of come up here. And if you want, just say, I have a question and we can start, but I just want to make sure people don't talk over each other. The good thing is we all have our names, so let's, well, I'm sure we can have fun. So please start. If anyone has any questions, you got people, we can have a great conversation about this. I see Atlantis, you're the first to raise your hand, so go for it. You might have to unmute if you're not muted.
Atlantis, I like that name.
Atlantis is nice. So you might have not allowed your audio settings when you first came in. So you can either change it in the browser where there's like a little lock key where the browser is, or I see you're in VR. You might have to go to the Quest and unlock your audio there. You just go out of immersion and then go in the utility thing and just make sure your audio's there and it'll work. I promise. So I'll call you once you figure that out. Anyone else? Please, open discussion. You guys are pioneers in this space, and we don't want to be here just for you listening to us. We want to feedback. Kurt, go for it.
Can you hear me?
I hear you perfectly.
Oh, great. What is the status of the standards effort that you're advocating for, Dean?
Well, Sean has made some great connections with some people.
I'll take that. So Kurt, we're working with the heads of the Metaverse Standards Forum, who happens to be the head of the Kronos Group, and we're starting to share a lot of this content. We built the white paper and we distributed it. There's a challenge, Kurt, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people, there's one issue, I think, in the idea of the metaverse is no one wants to define it, right? They're defining it based on what their company wants to achieve. So if I'm Fortnite, I'm going to say Fortnite that you can move from one game to another and bring your assets with you. But that's still a very different concept than what we're talking about. We think Fortnite would be eventually in the metaverse and you would just go to that location. So you're here, we go to Metaverse land, and then you can have the same gaming experience, but it shouldn't be just about gaming. gaming. Again, it's about everything. It's all encompassing. And so I believe that we're trying to define the idea of the metaverse. And if people agree with how we're defining it and the technology necessary, we're welcoming people to come together. At some point, we would love to do it inside the Metaverse Standard Forum, or we may actually build our own consortium. We're actually really, really close to launching the Metaversal Model Foundation, which is the one that Dean described. And so we're not only going to put a white paper out there, but people will actually see the code. We're going to open source and open standard that code completely. And so everything is going to be open source on the front end. The only thing that we're holding tight to our vest is the server side technology, which gives us a way to compete against the walled garden platforms that exist out there to continue to make this an open ecosystem. And so we're going to continue to share information. But I want to remind everyone, we have built this, which the largest companies in the world can't duplicate, with technology with literally 4 to 5 programmers. And so our job is to kind of share it with the world, and hopefully the community will come together and help us navigate. It's not about RP1 to say we're going to establish all the standards. I think we're just showing the technologies necessary. We're showing a blueprint. We're describing kind of what we believe is a path towards an open metaverse, and we're hopeful that people will join us on Discord, hopefully even help us start building those standards and really have a community behind us versus us being the next meta trying to define each and every single component. And so we're doing our best with the team size to really get more people involved, but it's up to them if they want to join or continue on a federated metaverse. And let me get to that real quickly. Everyone really sees the metaverse more as a federated one. And the federated definition is kind of like, imagine AOL, CompuServe, and Prodigy trying to agree on how to move and go in and out of those different systems. But I don't believe that solves the problem. There's no way Roblox is going to agree to what Fortnite does, which Spatial does, and Horizon Meta does. And so it's, trying to get walled garden platforms and build bridges in between those is kind of the way people are thinking. They're kind of like, well, let's get all these private companies to agree on standards of files and ways to navigate maybe with Web3 components. And what we're coming to the table is saying, well, let's scratch that because we don't believe that's going to work. Let's solve interoperability and an open metaverse from the ground up by creating standards that allow an open metaverse through on-demand aspects. And I think we really truly believe the heart of hearts that history has shown us that this is the right path. We have built some components, but we still have a ways to go. And so this is really an open invitation to bring the community together that believe in the same path. So hopefully that answers your question, Kurt.
I'll add one more quickie, which is as early as Monday of next week or so, thereabouts. We've been saying 2 weeks for the last, I don't know how long, but literally we're targeting maybe Monday of next week. This will become open. You won't need a password or an invitation to come in here anymore. You'll be able to come in here, create your own meetings, inhabit the world, do whatever you want. You can't add to it, though. We're going to be making the ability for you to add to it and design your own spatial fabrics shortly thereafter. That's a couple-month endeavor. When we do that, we're going to open source everything. We're going to open source not only our browser code and our MVMF technology stack, but also everything you need to run a spatial fabric and run it on a server on your own. And that will be all open sourced, and that conversation will begin the standardization of what we consider a spatial fabric to be, how it interacts with our browser, and anyone who is interested in working from the browser side or working from the spatial fabric side or the mapping layer or anything in between, that's when that conversation will really get going.
I'm back now.
Oh, hey, Larry. Hey, how's it going? We've been just doing a little Q&A with starting it out.
I figured so. I switched to VR mode, and then I think one of my drivers gave up, and I came back in. I'm now through PC mode.
Oh, cool. Well, let's see. Anyone else has questions? Feel free to raise your hand in your VR. If you're not, just unmute your mic and just ask the question.
Can you hear me now?
Yay,
yes, Atlantis, yay.
Wait, what did you have to do?
What did you do?
I went to my browser settings. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Well, I have a lot of questions, but let me see if I can boil it down. I'm curious about standards efforts. There's a bunch of couple of standards efforts out there anyway. I'm working with MPI on the XR venues, like merging a real space like a dome theater with a metaverse. I know there's a couple others, and how close are they to what you're doing, or do you think that going open source is going to help drive in the direction of standards like that could be ratified by IEEE or whoever out there,
Yeah, so I think it's important. It's funny. Alvin Grayland just put a book out there, and he went into detail on kind of how does the metaverse eventually happen. And I think at some point, someone had to build the first browser to really understand why that browser was important, start really defining some of the technologies. And a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon to understand the concepts and really come together to create the open standards that we know well today. And I don't think people have had the concept of solving for the world where you're not just building inside of a platform. We're not just building a sandbox, but where you can actually build stuff on your own server, just like you have your own web server, and have that easily findable, but have the experience as a consumer to navigate those experiences seamlessly, no different than you move in and out of different websites, right? And so I think right now we're starting to showcase technologies. We're trying to put white papers out that really define what we believe is a path, if we all come together, that can get us to an open metaverse. And I think the challenge is that people need to hear that messaging, which takes time, right? It takes time for you guys to hear it, then you talk about it, then people go to our website. And like Dean said, we're going to have an open demo where now you're not restricted to just having these private meetings or discussions, that it's open 24/7. So people can really see what that we're talking about, start creating things on those servers. And I think through those discussions is where standards start coming together. People have an interest. And I think some of the governing bodies are typically trying to take the current web browser and try to get the most out of it to solve for the next iteration of the internet or the spatial internet. And we believe that there's inherently too many things that are designed just for 2D spaces and doesn't solve for third-party services to coexist and show up in a seamless experience. And so this is why we're taking down the path of really solving for a fully connected metaverse. And I think the reason why people haven't done that is they don't have our database technology that can seamlessly connect the world's population with spatial audio and 6DoF. And so once you solve that piece, you have a different view on what an open ecosystem looks like. And I believe we're trying to share that today with people like yourself. And hopefully people say, wait a minute, if we need an open ecosystem that makes it seamless to go in and out of a concert experience or go to an education to Stanford University or go to the Louvre Museum or play a game, an MMO, or whatever that looks like, if you want that all to seamlessly come together, you're going to have to start thinking differently than just solving for an individual concert that you download and you interact with. And that kind of goes to my definition of the difference between a federated metaverse and a fully open ecosystem that's like the World Wide Web. There's only one World Wide Web, and the standards allow everyone to participate at any angle. And we're trying to create those standards that initiate one open metaverse. And I think it just takes time. People first need to see the path, agree or disagree or have conversations, but eventually I believe we all come together, because the win for the community is going to be vital if we don't remove the friction. If there's too much friction to get in and out of these different walled platforms, the masses are not going to invite or get into these types of XR content. And so you have a perfect storm that's brewing right now, a good storm, where finally we have four of the biggest companies on the planet racing to build the first commercially viable AR glasses. And Tim Cook has said that this will completely make the iPhone obsolete. And so if we have a web browser coming in at the same time and people start building content, and now companies, they're frozen right now because they're not going to build their web or metaverse infrastructure inside a walled garden system. No different than they're not going to build their web infrastructure in a walled garden system for the open web. They're going to want to build it on their own servers, manage their own businesses, but they need it to be found by something. And that's something we believe is a 3D browser. And so it's going to take time for a lot of these pieces to come together, but it starts with the conversation and showcasing technology that shows that vision, shows that path. And then hopefully as a population, we come together and really help this move a lot faster so we can enjoy it in our lifetime. So hopefully that
cool. Do you guys have a presence like at Augmented World Expo?
Yeah, so we're going to be at we're going to be at AWE coming up in June. So it's June 10th through the 12th. We're actually going to have a booth. And the cool thing is, which we couldn't show you today, but you can come to our booth in Long Beach and you will actually be able to see the AR version of this. So you'll be able to put on, we use an Oculus 3 with the pass-through, but you'll be able to see everything around you and have a floating avatar talking to someone somewhere on the planet and interact with third-party services. And we're going to show that to you today if you hang around. As soon as we're done with the Q&A, we're going to teleport. You're going to be able to fly straight up outside of Earth and go to space. We're going to be able to go to a handful of sample locations on planet Earth that we've created to show you how you can connect to a movie, which is a third-party service. You can connect and change a light switch in someone's house. You can do Google searches, and you can actually control an actual spaceship going up and down in the thrusters. And this is something that's going to be fully persistent for all of us to see. And you're all doing it from different locations all over the world. So you're going to start seeing what this is all going to make more sense as you interact with the technologies, and the light bulbs will go off and say, this just makes sense on how these pieces need to come together. So
I'm looking forward.
Awesome. Anyone else, please?
I got a question.
Oh, yeah, Dean, go for it.
How many people here is it your first time inside of RP1? Couple.
Say,
VR
everyone
people,
say,
just raise their
everyone
hands.
say yes at the same time if it's your first time. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Oh, good,
So,
good.
So most of you, what do you think? What are your general impressions? What stuck out as good? What's kind of sticking out as not good?
Since this is the only, this is Brian speaking. Since this
Hey,
is
Brian,
the
yeah, we
only
see you.
space that
Yep.
I've seen, I want to know about the other spaces and if they've been built, and how can someone join to help build these 3D or experiences for this.
Wait,
yeah, so right
that
now,
wasn't a compliment.
That's a good question.
Is that a compliment? But no, I'll
The
take this.
compliment,
Sean's got a
I
great
think
answer.
the compliment is the microphones work well.
Awesome.
I love it.
The voice option.
So Dean mentioned earlier, we're showcasing technology and a path. Just after AWE, we're going to spend the next couple of months building where the technology needed for you to start building your own server and point that at a specific location so it renders. And so you'll be able to, 3 months after June, so June, July, August, September-ish, you'll be able to build your own location, just like this location, run it off of your own webs, your own servers, and you'll be able to point it at a specific location so that when we go near there, we will instantly be able to pull your information and interact with it, and you'll have your own URL that can take people to that location, right, and make it super seamless. But once you're in the world, like once you're here, that doesn't mean we're stuck in a box. Right now, we literally can teleport or walk or fly or go anywhere, and you're fully connected with your avatar, with the audio. So if half of you went to a separate location, we wouldn't hear you. But as soon as we teleport near you, we're instantly going to hear your audio and your sixth off and see your movement and interact with you seamlessly. So it makes it really easy to traverse and limited amount of spaces. And so the answer to your question is soon. We are a small company. We're going as fast as we can. Once we do get some funding, we'll be able to race a lot faster and make this seamless for everyone to start participating. But that's the goal. So I think
Also, I have a question.
What kind of server?
Having advertising.
Dean, Larry wants to know what type of servers would those look like?
What type of servers would what look
You would run your own locations on. So if the SIGGRAPH wanted to run their own location, sitting on their actual own servers, what kind of servers would those look like? He's asking.
It's just like running any kind of web infrastructure right now. If you're Amazon, you're not going to run it off of a NUC in your house. You're going to build a suitable facility to run the types of services that Amazon needs. But if you just want to run a small space that handles a couple different things, you could probably toss it on a spare computer you have at home, or throw it in some kind of a web hosting space. If you think about how you build websites right now, since we're all experts at creating analogies to the World Wide Web, if you want to create a document or a website right now, you can go to a company like Wix or web.com, and they'll let you drag and drop and build out, put a title here, here's a couple templates, and they'll build a website for you and host it for you off of their servers. We're not going to do that necessarily, but I'll bet you a host of other companies will start doing that in the metaverse, where you'll be able to go to a site or to a service, and you'll drag some blocks around, and they'll create some templates, and you'll put a tree here and a tree there, and they'll host the whole thing for you. That's coming down the pipeline, no doubt, because of the fair market competition, and that's what we're enabling as other people to create that type of thing. Or if you want to build some really custom, super powerful website like an Amazon.com that you can't build out of Wix, you're going to have to build your own spatial internet infrastructure and run it out of your own data center. So it depends on the size and the quantity of services that you're offering. But since we handle the foundational layer, we handle the audio, the movement of avatars, and you're hosting just the spatial fabric as a child of our fabric, you get all the benefit of RP1's public spatial fabric, including all of us handling all the bandwidth for all the really heavy lifting stuff. And managing a space like this, you could probably run off of a small computer, just tied to a broadband connection, no problem. Or you get some co-location host and pay $50, $100 a month.
That's what I asked.
Yes.
great.
And I wanted to add something to Dean. So there's two things that he keeps bringing up. There's the assets of this environment that you can run on your own servers, and then there's the services that you may want to build, which could be an NPC service or a chessboard or a payment solution. These are all real-time services that you'll connect to. So if you had a chessboard, and you want 10,000 people to play the game of chess, you may need a lot more servers in a data center to handle people playing that many games of chess. But you would run that, and then people would be able to grab that game, pay you whatever you want to charge, and they would be able to drop that game of chess. And Robin and I right here could start playing the game of chess, even though it's running off of a server that's located somewhere in the world, not ran by the browser. And so again, the browser's job is just to connect you to these assets, the content, and connect you to third-party servers, whether the people that own this space build it or someone else builds it. You still got to manage where that shows up. So the chessboard will be right here based on the decision you make, because you own the space just like you own your own website. And so you have both those things that will exist.
And this works great. If they wanted to play chess and Robin was sitting at home in AR, he could still see the chessboard through AR glasses, and Sean can go to Robin's house and play the other play Robin's opponent. So Sean would be in VR, Robin would be in AR, and they'd both be able to share the same virtual experience. Or if I have a virtual pet, let's say I have a virtual dog, I can see my virtual dog in AR, and you can see my virtual dog in VR, because it's all part of one continuous space. And if you want to build virtual pets, you could build just services. You're not limited to just building scenery and 3D objects. You can build fully functioning services that, like NPC characters or AI agents or AI pets or chessboards or other games or video services that offer streaming video or sky's the limit. Anything you can think of that someone has ever said, hey, I want to build this and launch it in the web, that's what's going to happen in the metaverse. And a lot of your customers, I was going to say, a lot of your customers will be very large companies who want to build out their spatial infrastructure for their business. And let me give you a quick example, because you might not be thinking like this. When you go into Costco or Walmart or Home Depot in the future, it's not just a matter of them telling you how to find the dog food because they move it around Costco every week, right? It's about Costco building spatial infrastructure that's going to run their entire business. When big trucks come and drop off inventory every single day in the back of their store, they need to move that inventory around the warehouse. It's going to be dropped off on pallets. Every single pallet is going to be spatially tracked. It's going to be driven by robots overnight through spatial services. It's going to be set up and shelved through spatial services through employees wearing AR glasses. All of their spatial infrastructure will apply to their employees as well. That will help them restock shelves or handle human resources or employee-to-employee interaction. Everything that companies are doing with the web now to run their business will be moved into the spatial internet. And this includes airports, hotels, retail outlets, oil rigs, casinos, you name it. Everyone who's running web infrastructure now will transition within the next 5 years to spatial internet metaverse infrastructure. That's what we're saying, and that's what this technology is here. So if you're a developer and you're looking to say, hey, how can I make money off of this? What can I do? It's not just about building a game that 11 or 8 to 15-year-old kids are going to play. It's about building the business infrastructure of the future that every single company and every single home on this planet is going to run off.
This is great, Dean. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Hi, Evelyn. Yes. We can all hear you. Perfect.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dean and Sean. You guys are doing an excellent job trying to explain all of these concepts to us. And this is a great follow-up question on what you were just talking about, Dean, with having these businesses establish their location in the spatial, right? Net in this case. And I'm trying to wrap my head around the concept of location, right? When we first got started, we first got into the room, into the universe here. Someone asked where exactly we are, and I think Sean said that we are near 0.00, right?
Yep.
So that is a point in space, in the space, right? And I'm trying to understand, if you're a business, for example, SIGGRAPH, right? We are the Los Angeles SIGGRAPH chapter, and we are located in Los Angeles. Does that mean that the folks who are available, who would like to experience our services, our videos, do they need to go to that specific location in a map sense? How I'm trying to wrap my head around this concept of accessibility, such as the internet, versus this 3D geolocation inside this world here.
Well, this is not a world. It's hard because I think it looks like a world too. Because if you go into Roblox, you think you're in this sandbox and you're inside of thing. Right now, we just have sample locations. So imagine if the ICANN said you can have Abilene.com and Robin.com and Atlantis.com and all these .com spaces. Well, you wouldn't even know what that is. So they would have to, someone would have to show you some sample websites, and you'd be like, okay, this is what a website looks like, and then people would then go build them and then be found by Chrome or Safari or whatnot. So right now, we're just showcasing some places, including working with SIGGRAPH to show you a specific location. The map system is equivalent to the idea of ICANN, where you need an unlimited amount of volumetric space so that anyone can build what they want. Now, to answer your specific question, let me ask you one. Does LA SIGGRAPH have a physical location in the real world in Los Angeles? That's my first question for you.
Let's say that it does.
Okay, so if they have that space, they would automatically have the rights to that coordinate space on planet Earth with RP1's map. And you would automatically have access to that space, that coordinate. No one else would be able to build there. No different if you owned a house in the world, or the Louvre Museum that owns their actual museum and their space, or any location on planet Earth has ownership somewhere. And those people would have the rights to that space on the one-to-one digital twin of planet Earth. We have just built the map system that makes it seamless for everyone to now get their location, no different than ICANN allows you to get a location for Abilene.com or whoever is going to get that space. But we're going to reserve the rights to anywhere on planet Earth to the actual physical address of the real world. And that allows LA SIGGRAPH to then build a digital twin of that location. They can start building their own services. So if I have AR glasses and I walk near your location, as soon as I get near it and I walk away from someone else's location to yours, you take over that space, and you may have services that greet you and say, welcome to LA SIGGRAPH. An NPC may say, welcome, where are you going? And I'm like, hey, I want to find the meeting with Larry. And it's going to say, oh, Larry's meeting is over there, and draws a digital line on the physical floor and helps you navigate the real world. But if half the people can't show up in LA and they're in Japan or Australia, or I saw someone on the group that's from Hawaii, they would be able to put a VR headset on or open up a desktop, and they will be able to go to that same location. It would download all the digital twin assets so I can see what you see in the real world. And then I would be able to connect to those same services and see people in the real world in their AR glasses and vice versa, so we can interact. So I can actually show up in a real live experience in the real world. Or if you decide to build something just digital, you can meld those two worlds with one technology, a browser that seamlessly connects people no matter where they're at in the real world, or virtually, they can share that experience together. Does that help clarify? On
if you're on Earth.
That's right.
Now, if you want to build something just completely random, there's an entire
that was my
universe.
next question. What if you do not want a location? You just want a point next to the moon.
No, so the solar system and planet Earth, again, is reserved for a true replication of what it is in the real world. But everything outside of our solar system would then be open to anyone building whatever they want. So if Abilene, you wake up one day and you're like, I don't own any property on the planet Earth, but I want to create a store, I want to create an MMO game, I want to create a casino, I want to create anything that your imagination can take you, there is an unlimited amount of space outside of our solar system that you will be able to get, just like a domain space, and build what you want, no matter how small or big that space is. So let's say Disneyland said, I want to build a planet that is far, far away, that has no replica, a galaxy far, far away. They would be able to get an unlimited amount of space that they want and start building a completely entire experience that may be an unlimited things that have nothing to do with a mirror of the real world. And you would be able to seamlessly go there from their URL, or once you're in world, I can teleport, I can search for it and find it just like I'm in a browser, because you are in a browser, and easily go there. But the cool thing is that would be, I would be able to go there and then join a real live LA SIGGRAPH meeting in the real world by just going to now your coordinate space on Earth one-to-one scale. So I can traverse anywhere I imagine. Dean, you want to add to that, please?
there's two other scenarios that are also hard to think of, but also worth pointing out. What Sean is describing is the policy of RP1 spatial fabric. RP1 is creating not only the browser, but our own very large public spatial fabric. And so when you enter RP1 spatial fabric, it's under the understanding that we're made the business choice to reserve our solar system as a digital twin. Anything outside of our solar system is open to entertainment, whatever you want to do. So if you go into someone else's big public spatial fabric, they're going to set their own rules. So that's one thing to consider, is what we're only talking about is RP1's decisions for our spatial fabric. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, big data hosting companies might decide to run their own very large public spatial fabrics, and they'll have their own rules about where you can set up shop. The other thing to consider is that you can take a spatial fabric, a Metaverse browser, and point it directly at your own spatial fabric, which means it's not located anywhere in the world. If you take a Metaverse browser and point it at RP1, you're getting RP1 spatial fabric, which is really a map of the universe. But if you point it at someone else's spatial fabric, including your own smaller fabric, then it doesn't have a point in space. It's not a point in our world. And you can take LAACMSIGGRAPH spatial fabric and attach it to both our public spatial fabric and Google spatial fabric and Apple's and Microsoft spatial fabric all at the same time. Or someone can go to it independently. So if you're part of our world, it would have to be off of planet Earth, out of our solar system, if it's not real. And if it is real, it would have to be where your location is. Or you could point a browser directly at your location, and then people can just go to it just by putting in the URL of whatever your Metaverse URL would be, your spatial fabric URL would be.
And I just want to point out, it's important to create the open ecosystem that Dean is talking about. But the one thing that RP1 brings to the table is, I believe, would be the only spatial fabric that can connect the world's population all seamlessly. Because right now, current other technologies outside of RP1's technology, you a box with 20 to 40 people in a space. And so if you want this contiguous experience, which we believe is really the true definition of a metaverse, if you go back to Snow Crash and the idea of having one fully today, so we have solved that technology to make that possible, where everyone that's written articles about it says it's 30 years away, and we can just, and that's what we're doing. Yes.
All right. We have viewers.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Could you read? Can you read it to us? Can you read it to us, Leonard?
So that's a me question for sure. So our spatial fabric, our map of the universe, is based on the laws of physics that we know. So we have a round planet that is the size of Earth. It's literally the same radius and has that dimension. So when you want to allocate or put your spatial fabric into our world, we need to allocate a point for you. You kind of need to prove ownership of that piece of land. And then you'll pay us for the volume, the airspace that you're taking up and down. We don't really care about mineral rights. If you want to build down, if you want to build up, you would just pay for the volume, kind of like you would pay a website. So don't freak out yet, because the prices are really, 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 really stupidly cheap. So this space right here that we're in, just roughly eyeballing it, would probably cost somewhere around $10 a year is what we would ask for.
A year.
Just like,
and that includes the people showing up all the time. That includes you interacting 24/7. We're talking about literally cheaper than the cost of a website because of our game-changing technology. So this is not about making it uberly expensive. This is making it so anyone can be able to start building. It's about abundance.
And if you wanted like the airspace all the way up, and you could that volume, it's 100 meters by 100 meters by 100 meters is $100 a year.
Okay. I want to take over for a second here. It's about 9 o'clock, so what we're going to be doing, since, like Leonard just said, there are people who are watching all this streaming through the Zoom call. So we're going to wrap up the LAACMSIGGRAPH meeting part of this. And anybody who's in the world here is welcome, and we'll go on a tour if you'd like to take us, and we'll be in the world as long as you guys are. So for now, what I want to do is thank everybody for showing up.
High five, Larry. Thank you. Thank you.
on
Oh,
VR.
you're on desktop. Oh, I'll give you I'll give you a pat
Yeah.
on the thing. I got you.
Okay. So I want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to remind everybody to join us, RP1, as well as the LAACM SIGGRAPH at AWE. And on the 17th of June, we have our planning meeting for people who can come, and we'll be discussing, how we set up meetings, what we do for the next year. So if this type of meeting was interesting, we've been doing these every year. As we learned today, we may have a virtual space even to use during different parts of the year in a few months. So that's it for at least the LAACMSIGGRAPH meeting part.
Well, I just want to one thing. For setting this up. You guys have pioneered this way before we ever came about and did these things. We're wanted to share it with SIGGRAPH because I believe you guys are the pioneers of not only the internet, but I believe you will be the pioneers of the metaverse. And this is not this is beyond a show and tell. This is more of an invitation to join us. So if you guys want to learn more, please go to rp1.com. You can go to the bottom and join our Discord. It's easy to get a hold of us. If you want to join and help, please let us know. We will be giving updates there. Again, this will be live, hopefully in about a week, 2 weeks max, and we will be showcasing the AR side at AWE. But I can't thank you enough for joining, and literally, I'm hoping that we can, work with each and every one of you to make an open metaverse possible in our lifetime. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
So at least for the people who are watching through Zoom, but the meeting's over. But Leonard, you're still broadcasting, correct? Or are you going to shut down Zoom? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I got you. So we'll see what we can do, and we'll let it together what we got. Hopefully it'll work out. So, all right.
And we're going to have one last thing on this Friday. If you join our Discord, we're going to have another open house, whether we're live or not, that anyone can come from any device and join us, and you can go in the world and take a full tour if you can't make this one. So charge up your VR headsets or get some time. You can join our Discord, and we'll have all the details there. So we're definitely going to open up, and then very soon you'll be able to come without even asking us. You go to rp1.com, click enter, and you'll be able to go into an unlimited world, including space, and connect with any of your friends seamlessly. And then eventually we'll get companies like SIGGRAPH building out all their spaces that you can start interacting with. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So all right. Are you going to do a tour?
We're going to do a tour. Does everyone want to stick around for a tour? Are we open with that? I'm going to take you to third-party services to show you some really cool things, and then you guys can have the freedom to go wherever you want. So are you guys you guys game?
I want to emphasize one thing, because Sean's going to take you to a bunch of different places. For expedience, he's going to ask you to open up the menu and teleport somewhere. Just